Welcome, you made it to layout. In the last video, we imported the location so that we could see the satellite image at scale in SketchUp. Then we drew the base map, we drew our bed lines, and then we did a quick review of preparing the model for layout. In this video, we're going to import that model into layout. We're going to assume that we have a layout template that has some predetermined bounding boxes with scenes and tag selections already determined. And then we're going to draw some line work. We're going to draw walls for the house, and then we're going to start planting our plans. And then finally, we're going to annotate our drawing, and that'll be it. So let's get into it. So here's where we left off with our SketchUp model. We're going to save this. So we'll hit Command Save, 2D plant plan. And we're going to save it in a new folder called 2D plan. And we'll hit save. For now, we're going to close SketchUp. If I open this folder, well, we'll see right here, we've got 2D plan. So let's start by opening layout. We're going to select our 18 by 24 inch template. As you can see, we've got a couple of tool windows that are already open here. We're going to go ahead and close pattern fill. We don't need that. For now, SketchUp model, we don't need that as well. This scrapbook window is really important. I would really recommend that if you're using Windows, that you put it in its own tray, and you take that tray out of the bounding box from the side and put it on a second screen, or if you have an ultra wide screen, give yourself the real estate. If you're trying to work with scrapbooks that are really small windows on the side, it's going to be really difficult, and you're really going to limit yourself to the tools available. So the screen real estate is going to give you a lot of mileage in being able to use a scrapbook. And as you can see, we've got a template here. I'll turn you around here. We've got a SketchUp model that's already in this bounding box, is already has a scene selected with tags, and it is connected to this original SketchUp template. We're going to reconnect that. Then it's got a couple viewports that are associated with some scenes. We have a compass, a scale, and then a title block with some information. So what we're going to start with is we're gonna open our scrapbook here. We're gonna put it to the side for now in another window. I'll bring it over whenever we use that. And then we're going to go to File, Document Setup, and we're going to see this references. These references are anytime you drag a file into SketchUp, it creates a reference to that file. Now you can move and delete that file, it'll stay in layout, but the advantage of this is that you can relink and you can update. So if you edit that file in another program, but it's in the same file location, you can hit update, and those updates will reflect within layout. So it's kind of a unusual feature, really powerful feature, and we're about to see how this powerful feature will work. So as you can see, this old file location template for that landscape design, that's that original template when we started the SketchUp file. This is where that template lives. And this layout template coordinates with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit relink, and we're going to basically disconnect it from the template, and we're going to connect it to our new template, which is in our desktop, in our 2D plans, our 2D plan. So we will open this and then hit close. And as you can see, you can kind of see the edge of our building. So if we double click here, now we've got our structure. You can also see that we've got our compass, which is really helpful. The way that we did what I just showed you here is when you select the SketchUp bounding box, if you double click into it, it's going to act like the model within, it'll be 3D. You can orbit, When it's 2D, it's a good habit to hold shift so that you're panning so you're never losing the top-down perspective. If I want to go to Sketchup Model, I can select things like the tags. For example, we have this arrow on a guide tag. I can go into the reference file here and I can hide the guide and then I can see it again. So we have some control, just like the scenes and tags in SketchUp, we have some control over what is visible here. What else? Oh, survey. I could turn the survey back on and it's hard to see because we're in a different style, but I can use a different survey tag to hide show that. I can also select different styles, whether we want hidden line, shaded with textures, wireframe, hidden line. So we're going to go back to hidden line, and we had this all preset in a scene. It was nice and tidy. If I want to get back to that scene, then I will select the scene right here and select final plan, and then hit this rotating arrows, and that should viewport reset all. There we go. We hit reset, and now this is back to the scene. Uh-oh, and it looks like it crashed. Okay, so we've got our bounding box. We're going to do a few tidying things here. This particular template has these viewports. We can delete those. We don't need those. We want to zoom out, and we can see that north is just a little bit tilted to the right. So we're going to zoom into the compass, select it, and then we're going to rotate it just a little bit off. Now the compass is done. The scale is 1/8 scale. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to enlarge the box, and then we will right click and select scale. You may also select the scale from the Sketchup Model tool window right here, and we're going to go with 1/8 equals 1 foot. It's going to be pretty zoomed in. So now we're going to double click into this map, and it looks like that's pretty, we drew a structure that was pretty big. So we're going to actually zoom in on this landscape bed right here. So as you can see, we've got a 1/8 scale, we've got our landscape bed, we've got our structure, and now we've got this line that outlines the whole thing. We're going to get that out of the way. The reason it's there in the beginning is so that you know that there's a bounding box there, but simply select it and deselect stroke, and now this box no longer has an outline. So we have scaled our drawing, we've outlined it. Let's take a look at layers. The few layers that I use in layout, and I do try to keep it to a minimum. Each one has a specific purpose. The layers that we have here are the title block. It's locked. If I hide, what you're going to see is that's the bounding box around the outside. It also includes some of this naming and information about the location. And then we have a what I call model hide, and then a model tag layer. And so the reason I have two separate layers for this is because there's a way to explode this model. As you saw earlier, I could double click into this and rotate it. But if I need to clean up some line work, we may do this at the end of the video, I can explode it. And so I put that exploded version of the SketchUp model from layout, I put it on a model tag, because if I need to go back and change the SketchUp model, and then I need to update that difference within layout, I want to be able to save a version of this model, and I put on model hide. So we'll select it, we'll hit Control C to copy it, I will hide that layer, and then I will lock it. I'll select the model layer and then hit Control V, and now I've pasted it and it's exactly in the same spot. So effectively we have one right on top of the other. The next step I'll do is I'll select this model, and then I will right click, render mode, vector. That's going to make the line work sharper. And then we're going to right click and we're going to explode. This layer for model is no longer a SketchUp model. I can double click, but now I can see the individual lines and I can move those lines. So it turns the view that you have from SketchUp and turns it into lines. So if I hide that and I view model hide, now we still have a saved version of that. So let's go back to our model. We're going to draw the walls for our house, and I've got a scrapbook line weight for that. And the way scrapbooks work are they are stamps that can be used to start placing plants. You can also sample the style. So for example, if we go to a different page within the scrapbook, one I call markup, I have a line weight for the house. I have a line weight for property line, roof lines, on centers, fences, gas lines, utilities, and then some for some different some pattern fills. So what we'll be using a line weight for the house. Okay, so we're going to start drawing our line work. We're going to hit L for line. We're going to be on the line work layer. We're going to lock the model. What that's going to do is it means that we can't select it when we lock that layer. We're going to hit L, and we are also going to go to Arrange and make sure Object Snap is selected. That's going to help us lock onto that point. Unlike SketchUp, Layout has an option to turn the Object Snap off, and that can be very convenient when you're trying to place plants or grab things and you don't want them to snap. So we're going to go to Arrange, Object Snap On. The shortcut is Control/. Range, Object Snap. So we'll select that point here for the wall. We're going to trace the wall here, here, and here. And then we're going to hit space. We'll hit A for arc. We're going to grab that point, and we're going to capture some of the curvature of that front wall. And it looks like that's not connected to this line, so what we'll do here is we're going to use the join tool. And if those two are at the same point, they'll join together. And then lastly, normally the house is a bounding and it fills all the way. So this line technically has a fill. If I color it, you'll see that it has this, it fills in the inside of that line. We're going to, for now, turn that fill off. And then we will select the line, we'll hit F for offset, grab the line, and we'll offset it a little bit. And now we've got the wall of our house here. And the next step will be to place the plants. So we're going to bring our scrapbook over. Now we were working in the 1/8 scale, so the assets we have here are scaled to be 1/8. So if I bring in these trees, we're going to be in the 12 to 20 foot range. These plant graphics are 6 to 10 feet, 5 to 10, 1 to 2 feet. And they're going to act like stamps. So the way this works is, let's say we want to do a couple of grasses here in the corner. I could just single click and I can start dropping them in. If we'd like a Japanese maple here, we can drop that in there. That's a stamp. If we hit space, though it acts like a stamp, it's still a unit that can be moved. See how, remember the object snap was snapping and it was really helpful? This will be an instance when it's not helpful. I want to be able to very smoothly move the graphic without it locking to a line. So I can move this tree. Let's say we actually wanted it on the corner. And we wanted, I don't know, a spice bush or something here. And a couple of boxwoods that followed this. Maybe in the boxwoods we want just a straight hedge along the back. Now you may be asking, how do I make a perfectly straight line of boxwoods? Just as I mentioned, these are actually entities that are inside of Layout. For example, it's a group of line work. So if I double click, I can now select the individual line work. If I wanted to select it and fill it and make it yellow, I could do that if I wanted to. So it comes with all of the possibilities of editing these properties for the graphics, which is a terrible advantage. It's not fair that they get to work like stamps, but they're actual assets, which is cool. So we'll grab it, we'll hold shift to keep it in line. Shift kind of locks the access a little bit in layout. We're going to hold either control, or on Mac it's option, and then we're going to move it over, I don't know, a couple feet like this. And now I've copied it. And then before I type or click or do anything else, I have an option to input a quantity. So let's say I wanted 3 more of them. I hit 3x, enter. If I say, 3 wasn't enough, I need 8. I hit 8x, enter. Oh, 8's too much. 7x, or maybe 7 was too much. 6x, and there we go. If I want to, I can select all of them, and I can right click, I can make a group, I can right click, I can ungroup, or if I don't like them being a group as an individual, I can also ungroup that, and now I've just got a pile of lines here. So let's say that's our planting plan. We use our stamps, we plant our plants, and we're pretty much done at this point. So the last little bit of touch-ups, let's say I want to get rid of this line. Remember how we made this a non-SketchUp model and we turn the SketchUp model into line work? If I unlock model, I can come into this group, double click, select it. It looks like I got some line work to clean up. I'll use split, arrange, object snap. Looks like I need to go into one more time. It was a group within a group. Split. I'll cut the line there and I'll select the line, and then I will delete it. And now that line that doesn't exist but we drew so it closed the surface in SketchUp is now out of the way. The other thing we need here is annotation. I use a shortcut V for annotate. There's also label. Label is the name of the tool. So I can select this. I can single click, and I'm going to get an angle, and I'll say boxwood. I don't know, there were 7 of them, 7x. I can click and drag it, and you'll see that it'll make a curved line. So if we want to do a curved line, we could do that. Sometimes that's nice. I think the way that you drag it affects the curve and the way you let go of it. So there you go. And then you can type in labels. I don't know, this is, let's say, Carl Forrester, and there's 6 of those, 6x. This annotation acts like a group. So if I want to edit the annotation, I can double click on the text, and now I'm editing the text. If I double click on the line, I can now adjust the line itself. I can move the arrow. That is labeling and annotation. And then lastly, we would like to put their name in the title block. The way this title block works is that this text is auto text. So instead of trying to double click it or unlock the title block so that you can go inside of the group and change the name, as you can see, the client name disappeared and it had these brackets. That's called an auto text. This address isn't actually typed into the physical typing of the entity. It's referencing a client address. We're going to be able to edit that by going to File, Document Setup. You may also go to Text, Customize Auto Text, brings you to the same window. This may be a familiar window when we updated the reference. Knowing that you also need to do auto text, in the same step you can also just change the auto text. So as you'll be able to see here, if I go to client name Smith and I put in a different last name, that's going to show up and change the title block. What's really advantageous about the auto text is, let's say I had a document that was 15 pages long. I just updated the name and the address on 15 pages of title blocks. So that can be the real advantage there. And we'll go to client address, and this is actually 635 Fake Street, actually, in St. Louis. And so we'll go ahead and close that out. And now the address is updated. There are some other pieces here that are auto text, like the author. If you want to change that, let's see, text, customize auto text. If you want to change the author, page number, the page that the numbers start on, the starting pages for Final Concept. And that way the page number automatically updates when you have multiple pages. The date is auto text. It's just whatever today's editing date is. And yeah, it kind of helps expedite and automate some of that stuff. And that's it. Now you've got a drawing. You've got plants. The plants have annotation. You've updated the contact info. You've changed the orientation of the compass. You've got a scale. And that's it. There's a lot more to layout. But what we've talked about today is going to give you the start that you need to be able to start drawing the line work over your model, bringing the model into layout, and then stamping and annotating your plants so that you can have something presentable for your clients. So this is the get you started. Happy sketching.